All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Mile High County College Football Podcast. This is episode 3. We got me, we got Jacob, we got some jerseys on.
Big weeks.
Teams. So currently behind the computer right now recording, we have the college football playoff top 25 first rankings of the year playing. We got it on mute. We're not going to show it or anything, just because we don't want to play with any copyrights.
Just kind of live react to it.
Yeah, kind of live react to it. We're going to talk about last week like we usually do. We're going to talk about our usual stuff, but we're kind of just going to talk and have that playing at the same time. And kind of like, if they pop up some rankings, then we might start. What is that?
That format is strange.
Anyways, but we might stop talking like we just did right there. And start talking about what is happening behind the camera right now. But
before we do our recap, you want to do our top 25 before we?
Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and throw out our top 25s, and we'll go ahead and talk about Heisman real quick too. My top 25, going from 1 to 10, I have Georgia, Ohio State, Tennessee, Michigan, Clemson, TCU, Alabama, Southern California, Oregon, and UCLA.
Okay. I think we have, there's one difference in team, but I have Georgia, Tennessee, Ohio State, Michigan, Clemson, TCU, Alabama, Oregon, Southern Cal, and Ole Miss over UCLA.
Yeah. And a speed run real quick, 11 through 25. Kansas State, Ole Miss, Illinois, Utah, North Carolina, LSU, Penn State, Tulane, Oklahoma State, UCF, Liberty, Wake Forest, NC State, Oregon State, Maryland.
Okay. My speed run. UCLA, Kansas State, Utah, LSU, Illinois, North Carolina, Oklahoma State, Penn State, Tulane, Wake Forest, Syracuse, Liberty, Oregon State, UCF, and NC State.
So, pretty much the same teams, just different order.
Who'd you have Maryland over?
I had Maryland at 25.
Who'd you have not ranked? You have NC State ranked?
I don't have Syracuse ranked.
Okay.
I dropped Syracuse out. And then Heisman, real quick. I've got C.J. Stroud at 1, Hendon Hooker at 2 still. I had a shake-up in 3 through 5. I moved Blake Corum up to 3. I've moved Caleb Williams up to 4. And Bo Nix has entered my top 5 at number 5.
Bo Nix. I've got C.J. Stroud 1, Hendon Hooker 2, Blake Corum 3, Caleb Williams 4, and I have Deuce Vaughn, running back from Kansas State, at 5.
Okay. Sleepers, I've got 3. I decided to write down 3 today. Non-quarterbacks. I still want to throw Max Duggan in there, kind of. He's having a great year. But Will Shipley, Jalen Hyatt, who continues to just light up the receiving game every week, and then Chase Brown, running back from Illinois.
I picked 3 different sleepers just to be fun. I had Quentin Johnson, receiver from TCU. We talked a lot about him. Quinshon Judkins from Ole Miss. He's got a chance to have a big Heisman moment in a couple weeks when they play Alabama.
Yeah.
And then Mo Ibrahim, the running back from Minnesota. Even though Minnesota's been losing some games, Ibrahim's had like 16 or 17 100-yard games in a row.
Yeah. He's a great running back, and kind of feel bad for him a little bit because Minnesota's underperforming, and
it's not on him.
Yeah, it's definitely not his fault at all.
Minnesota should be in the running for the Big Ten West, and they're just kind of not.
Yeah.
That division's not very good, but
So we're just kind of waiting for these rankings to start flowing in. I figured it'd be like this. It just started a minute ago. They're currently talking about the 6 unbeaten teams: Tennessee, Georgia, Ohio State, TCU, Clemson, and Michigan. And assuming that will be the top 6, no doubt about it.
It should be the top 6.
I think that should be the top 6, and there we go. I mean,
I'll be honest. I really think any of those 6 have somewhat of an argument to be number 1.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at even a team like TCU just consistently playing these good teams in tough spots, and beating them and winning, and in the first year under a new coach too.
Yeah. So nice.
Every team definitely got a case. I definitely think Bama is the best one-loss team. even though they may not have proven it necessarily every week, you feel like they would be favored over any of these one-loss teams.
I agree.
Right? But
let's get into recapping last week real quick while they're still talking on the show. First, I want to start off on Thursday night. NC State barely escapes a Virginia Tech team who I said they should easily beat if they were a top 25 team, and they didn't. Obviously, that's not how the rankings work. They stuck in the top 25 still, but just a bad showing from NC State's offense. Again, they lost Devin Leary, but their offense looks terrible, and they had a new quarterback in there compared to usual.
They're just not a very good team right now. It seems like ever since that Clemson game, NC State just hadn't been the same.
MJ Morris, I think is his name.
MJ Morris.
Let me confirm that, but they had a different quarter. Oh, I forgot tonight, Tuesday Maction starts.
Maction, baby.
Ball State's playing right now. Morris. He went 20 for 29 with 265 and 3 touchdowns.
That's not bad.
I
think he didn't get it going until later in the game, though, because VT did have a huge lead.
Yeah, they did. And then also Thursday night, Utah escapes Washington State.
We figured that would be a close game.
Yeah, we said it. We did say that. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't watch that game. I didn't watch a play of it. I did watch a little bit of NC State and Virginia Tech actually on my phone while I was watching. Oh, here's top 25. So 25 through 21 is UCF at 25, Texas at 24, Oregon State at 23, NC State at 22, Wake Forest at 21.
So they give that last spot of a 3-loss team to Texas.
Yep.
I kind of agree. I think Texas is probably the best 3-loss team in the country.
I actually, if you look right here, you can barely see them where I was writing my rankings at earlier. I wrote Texas at 25 and crossed them out last minute and put Maryland in there instead. 21-22 being Wake Forest, NC State's interesting as they play each other this week. So one of those two is getting knocked out.
Yep.
Okay, here we go. More coming in. Oh, wow.
So they got 20 through 16. 20 is Syracuse, 19 Tulane, 18 Oklahoma State, 17 North Carolina, and 16 Illinois. So they also do not respect the Illinois, North Carolina 7-1 above some other 6-2s that are more impressive.
That is Syracuse being at 20 is interesting. As I completely
above Wake Forest too.
Dropped them out of my rankings.
I'm shocked they're above Wake.
I'm gonna be honest. I didn't think that the committee would put Tulane that high. I knew they'd be a top 25 team. I didn't think that they had put them that high.
I kind of figured though because that big Kansas State win.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that Tulane's not above Oklahoma State almost. I mean, I don't think they're a better team, but...
Oh, wow. 15 through 11's coming in. We got Penn State at 15, Utah at 14, Kansas State at 13, UCLA at 12, and Ole Miss at 11.
So who's in the top 10 then?
Well, you're going to have Southern Cal.
Yeah, but who's...
Oregon.
Okay, that's 8 and 9, but who am I not thinking about?
Did I miss Utah?
Utah's 14.
Utah's 14.
Who are we forgetting?
No way they put LSU in the top 10.
They did. No, they did
No way
not.
they put LSU.
LSU? That means Tennessee's won. Because if LSU's top 10, yep, LSU is 10. Wow. So it's going to be Tennessee 1 then.
Oh my God. That's crazy because we were on the phone earlier and I said they love to rank people too high.
LSU is not a top 10 team. I'm sorry.
I had LSU at 16.
I had LSU at 15.
Wow. And that was like me pushing it.
Yeah, I was trying to set up a cool matchup between LSU and Bama by putting them at 15. And they've got them at 10. Ooh,
So who do you think comes in here at 9 now?
USC.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, yeah.
And then I'm gonna.
So it'll be Oregon,
8.
And then it'll be interesting. Will they actually put Alabama at 7? Or will they put TCU there?
I don't think that they should.
So USC, Oregon will be 8. They will not put Oregon over Alabama. There's no way. Especially after a 49-3 loss to Georgia. They won't put Oregon over Bama. Yep, Oregon comes in at 8.
Okay.
Oregon has been on an absolute roll lately. Since their loss to Georgia.
They dominated UCLA. They had a slow start the other day against California, but they put it together and they ended up winning by 20. So
you know Oregon's averaging 43 points a game, even with that.
They're a good team.
TCU at 7. So that means one loss Alabama is above an undefeated TCU. That's ridiculous.
Come on, man.
You can't do that. If you're gonna put Tennessee at 1 based on resume, you can't put TCU at 7 and Alabama at 6 based on name.
Yeah,
that's a joke. TCU's a top 6 team.
I mean, at that rate, I would almost think they might have Alabama over Clemson or Michigan.
There's no way, right? We'll see. After looking at the top 10, though, Tennessee will be ranked number 1.
Yes, Tennessee 100% is going to be number 1 right here. Tennessee and Georgia 100% will be 1 and 2 right here.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think 100% they're 1 and 2.
As a Georgia fan, put them at 1. Put Tennessee at 1. I cannot believe that they put TCU below Alabama. That kind of screws the Big 12.
Yeah.
Because now you've got 3 SEC teams. And see, you can't drop Georgia or Tennessee below Bama after this week. No. Right? Or you could maybe drop Georgia below them, depending on the result.
Yeah. You could probably drop Georgia below, but I don't know if you can drop Tennessee below.
You can't. You can't drop Tennessee below Alabama.
They beat them.
Exactly. I mean, you could potentially see Georgia beat Tennessee and Tennessee stay in the top 4.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't... LSU being top 10 is a joke.
I like that reaction right there, though. Is when we both realized
LSU.
We were like, who are we missing here? LSU. Oh, here we go.
Here we go.
Top 6.
Number 1, is it going to be Tennessee? 6. I was about to say. 6. I thought they were putting 1 first. They got Alabama at 6.
Okay, so who do they show here? 1.
At 5, I'm thinking either Michigan or Clemson.
It's definitely Michigan
at 5.
I think they put Clemson at 5.
Maybe. Because they've got... You guys' wins are still in the top 25.
2 of them, yeah.
No, 3 of them.
3 of them, yeah. Whereas Michigan has what, 1?
1.
Which is Penn State. Ohio State has what, 1?
Bama, I really thought they had Bama at 1 for a second. And I was mad. Like, you're going to have 1 loss Bama 1?
That'd be crazy.
That would be insane.
Outlash towards the College Football Playoff Committee would be absolutely insane if that happened. Come on, man.
This really does set up as... Okay, Michigan at 5.
Yes. Clemson's in the top 4. Let's go.
It was going to take care of itself anyway.
Let's go. We just got to win now. Just got to beat everybody now. We get a chance.
They're going to have Clemson at 4.
Yeah. I think it's definitely Clemson comes in 4 here.
It'll be Clemson 4. And then they'll have the Tennessee, Georgia, Ohio State. Which, again, the rankings 1 through 4 do not matter whatsoever. As long as you're in it.
Yeah. Okay. There's been times where the gap between 1 and 4 is pretty significant.
Like 2019?
Yeah.
LSU.
You could even argue Clemson, Notre Dame that 1 year.
Well, there's been years that Clemson is at 4.
Let's go, baby.
There's been years too, like 2018, 2019, 2020, like Georgia, and Florida were probably each top 4 teams talent-wise. You just couldn't put them in.
Georgia, and Florida?
Yeah. Especially Florida that year. 2019, maybe not Georgia, but 2018 Georgia and 2020 Florida were probably top 4 teams in the country. But you got to handle your business. It should be the top 4.
See, the bad thing is we're watching this on mute, so we don't know which team is being popped up. You know, like we know what team is coming, we don't know what number they are. So they could show 1 right here, and we don't know, or they could be showing 3.
I think they're going to show 3.
Yeah.
But the thing is any of these 3 could be any of these 3 spots.
Oh, I agree.
I'll be honest with you. If you got a okay, Georgia at 3. Wow. Okay. Dang, they really messed up our 1-2 matchup like that?
Now, here's the real question. Are they throwing Tennessee in here at 2 or at 1?
They're going to put Tennessee at 1.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and tell you right now, you do not want to be Tennessee if you see in Georgia at 3. I can't believe they put LSU at 10 and Georgia at 3. So who's going to be 1?
That's big. This is a big moment.
Okay, Ohio State is 2,
Means
which means Tennessee is 1.
Wow. I didn't see this coming.
I didn't either. Wow.
You tell me Tennessee Volunteers are the number 1 team in the country when the first college football playoff rankings come back at the beginning of this year. I said you're crazy.
I mean, I'm still telling you you're crazy.
I mean, that's wild.
Okay. 1 versus 3 in Athens. We'll get to that in a minute. Let's finish our recap of
Last week. Yeah.
Last week.
So we left off Utah, Washington State. We kind of talked about it a little bit, and then also during the week, last week, Friday, BYU loses to East Carolina.
BYU's dead this year.
I mean, they look bad. East Carolina qualified for a bowl off of that win.
Yeah, ECU 6-3, not bad at all. They're having a good year down there in Greenville.
And just putting this out there, I remember we were talking about Super Dogs last week, and I said I kind of want to take ECU versus BYU, but it's only 3 points.
Yeah.
But
they covered.
So I guess I kind of called that a little bit. And then we'll move to Saturday. I'm just gonna go in order from time frame. I'm not gonna try to go from like this was the biggest game, this was the smallest game on Saturday that we want to talk about. And we're gonna talk about the biggest game first. Ohio State, Penn State. Penn State hung with them.
Surprisingly close.
And just Penn State killed themselves essentially. They turned the ball over. Ohio State didn't turn the ball over.
If you would have told me that Penn State loses the turnover battle 3-0 and covers, I wouldn't have believed you. But they did.
There was something about there's always something about certain places to me in college football. And Penn State is one of those places where it's like I'm always gonna almost bet on Penn State when they're at home.
Yeah.
Depending on who they're playing. And I think we both took Ohio State. However, I think you took Ohio State to cover.
I did.
But I think I took Penn State to cover.
I took Ohio State to cover. I thought Ohio State was going to kill them. I didn't want them to kill them. I was rooting for Penn State, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
But, Ohio State looked good. Yeah. Their defense showed up when they needed to. Offense, of course, great. C.J. Stroud, great.
Yeah. Penn State's defense looked good.
Penn State, yeah. Again, the turnovers. It was just the turnovers.
Yeah.
And if you're Penn State at this point, you got to be ready to see Drew Aller at quarterback. I mean, the Sean Clifford experiment is just, you're never going to get over the top of Clifford. I know he's graduating. I think it's time to see what Drew Aller can do.
It's Sean Clifford is essentially dead to that team. And it's sad, but, I mean, that's how it goes. And they're, like I said, they're a good team. I kept them in my rankings at 17. I mean, I didn't drop them too far. but they just, like you said, they're never going to get over that hill with Sean Clifford at quarterback, I think. Then we can move on. Also, the 12 o'clock time frame was TCU and West Virginia. West Virginia gave TCU a hell of a game.
They did.
And, I mean, TCU just, the good teams win those games, even when it's a game that maybe that other team shouldn't be in with them, but they win the game when it matters, and that's exactly what TCU did.
TCU did end up covering a 10-point win.
Oh, they won by a touchdown.
Did they? I thought it was 41-31. Maybe I'm wrong. But I know it was a great game.
Oh, it was 41-31, my fault. I thought it was 41-34.
I mean, Morgantown's a tough place to play. West Virginia fights. But TCU, again, for some reason, ranked 7th. But they're a very good team.
Yeah. And West Virginia, struggling a little. We're going to talk about them later.
Man, TCU is ranked 7th. Can't believe that.
Also, in the 12 o'clock time frame, I think this is last one. Notre Dame, Syracuse. I mean,
didn't we both take Syracuse?
I'm pretty sure we did.
And looking back on it, it's like, did I really pick Syracuse to beat Notre Dame?
Notre Dame was a 1-point favorite, and we said that was crazy, I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
I mean, Notre Dame, gonna be honest, dominated that game.
Oh, yeah. They were the better team.
Sean Tucker did not have a good game. 16 carries, 60 yards. But Syracuse was... Did they bench Garrett Schrader or did they... Nope. Garrett Schrader supposedly got hurt.
Okay.
Now, he was 5 for 14 for 35 yards, a touchdown, and a pick before that.
Pick 6.
Yeah, pick 6, yeah. But Syracuse did lose their quarterback, and we've seen a trend of good teams losing their quarterbacks this year and their offense diminishing. So, I didn't watch a snap of that game, I'm going to be honest. But could that have played a factor? Maybe. I'm not going to take it away from Notre Dame.
17-point win.
Yeah, they won by 17 points. That's all there is to it. Next, we're moving to the 3:30 time frame. We'll briefly talk about App real quick. So like we always do, they played Robert Morris. We both took App in 42, and they actually didn't cover. They won 42-3.
App struggled for a big part of the game, I'll be honest.
They did. Chase Bryce, it's my boy, but looked kind of lost in the first quarter and a little bit in the second. The offense in general kind of looked lost. Honestly, considering we won 42-3, was a surprise. And I left in the third quarter, so
I didn't go.
Yeah, I'm gonna just super brief talk about that.
They're gonna be good. We'll be good.
Then we're gonna move into Georgia, Florida. If you want to talk about that real quick, I figured you'd want to talk about it.
Yeah, Georgia looked like the best team in the country in the first, second, and fourth quarters of that game. Just turned the ball over a couple of times in the third. But if you're a Georgia team, you turn the ball over 3 times, don't force any turnovers, and still win by 22, it just says something about how good your team is. I'd like to see a little bit more. But, big matchup this week. We'll see what happens.
This was the only... actually, that's a lie. This was one of 2 3:30 time frame games I actually got to watch some of. But it was the fourth quarter, and like Jacob said, they looked like the best team in the country in the fourth quarter. So, not much from me. I know that Florida gave y'all a little bit of a fight there in the second half, at least.
A little bit.
But didn't get to see much. I just saw a bunch of punts, pretty much.
I'm still mad that Georgia was favored by 22.5. I took them to cover, and they win by 22.
I took Florida to cover, and I was correct. Next, we'll talk about the absolute slaughter of the Oklahoma State Cowboys.
Deuce Vaughn.
They got beat 48-0 by Kansas State, who, what were they, 13?
They were ranked in the 20s this past week. Now they're ranked.
They were 22nd.
But now they're 12. No, they're 13.
Yeah, I think they went up to 13. Deuce Vaughn, 22 carries, 158 yards, and a touchdown.
I had Kansas State ranked above LSU.
I did too. I had Kansas State at 11 this week.
Man, those rankings.
I mean, there really wasn't besides just outgaining them, they didn't do anything wrong. Oklahoma State didn't do anything wrong. They didn't have a ton of penalties. They only had a little bit less first downs. They had the same exact conversion efficiency on third down, both 5 for 15, which isn't good. The only thing that they really had was the 3 turnovers.
Yeah, that hurts.
2 interceptions thrown, 1 fumble lost. It sucks that Oklahoma State got beat, but they're not my favorite team. So it was kind of like I saw Kansas State was up by a lot while I was at the App game, and I was like, well, that game's over.
Yeah. Oh, darn.
Next is another slaughter. Wake Forest gets the crap beat out of them by Louisville.
You know how many turnovers Wake Forest had?
In the second half? 8.
Yeah, they had 8 turnovers in the second half. They had 6 turnovers in the third quarter.
Yeah. I don't care who you are and who you're playing. You could be the best team in college football and be playing the worst team in college football and do that. If you turn the ball over 8 times in a half, you are okay. Well, best team and worst team in college football.
Maybe a stretch.
Yeah, it might be a stretch, but Wake Forest and Louisville, a sense, you're gonna get the crap beat out of you, and that's what happened. I mean, the turnovers, like you said, they played such a big part. I mean, Louisville's offense didn't really do a whole lot. They had a 90-yard pick six to end the third quarter. Just want to say that. They had a pick six at the very beginning of the third quarter. By the way, Wake Forest was up 14-13 at halftime.
Yeah.
I mean, Wake Forest only had 8 less total yards than Louisville did. They had 10 more first downs. And they had 6 less penalties for 80 less yards. And had 7 more minutes time of possession. They outplayed them.
It's just
turnovers. Yeah. I mean, I can't say much about this game either. I didn't watch any of it. I dropped Wake Forest significantly in my rankings because of that, and they dropped in real rankings too. They were 10 last week. They're 21st now.
Yeah. I had them top 10.
I had them. I don't remember what I had them last week, but I had them at 22nd this week. And then the last 3:30 time frame game I want to talk about is the Pick'em game from last week, Central Florida, Cincinnati.
I picked Cincinnati.
I did too because I wanted Cincinnati and Tulane to both be one-loss teams in the very last week of the season playing each other, which would have been the case, but not anymore. I watched the end of this game. It was crazy because UCF took the lead with 4 minutes left. And I said to myself, that feels like too much time. I was correct, but the problem was Cincinnati scored in 1 minute and 30 seconds.
Ooh, that's too much time.
And that left 3 minutes on the clock for UCF, who only needed a field goal to tie the game. Cincinnati was up 21-18. Crazy 2-point conversion play. If you haven't seen it, I suggest you go watch it. The 2-point conversion play was amazing. Cincinnati threw it up, and the receiver caught it one-handed, falling to the ground over his shoulder. And then UCF scored with 40 seconds left to win the game. And Cincinnati looked completely lost on that last possession that they had. And then I lied because I think this was a 3:30 game, correct?
Missouri, South Carolina, yeah, it was.
Okay.
It was going on while Georgia was on.
We didn't talk about this game last week because I didn't feel the need to, but a ranked South Carolina team loses by 13 points to Missouri, who Missouri hasn't been the Missouri that they usually are. Missouri's been better this year, but it's still Missouri.
Have they been better? What's their record?
4-4. They might make a bowl game. Wow, actually. I don't know. No, they played New Mexico State, so they just got to beat one of Kentucky, Tennessee, or Arkansas. They make a bowl game.
Beat one of Kentucky, Tennessee, or Arkansas. They're not making a bowl game. Missouri, I mean, they're getting a little too much credit for how well. I mean, they played really, really well against Georgia. But
okay, hold on. They lost to Auburn in overtime. I know Auburn's not good.
They beat Auburn but lost. You know what I mean? Like,
they played y'all good. They lost to Florida by a touchdown. And they beat Vanderbilt by a field goal. They beat
Vanderbilt by a field goal.
Hey, Anyways, Missouri's better than they usually are. But South Carolina should have won that game. That was my point being made originally. South Carolina should have won that game, not lost by 13 points. Again,
South Carolina had a chance to be like 6-2, and now they're 5-3. Like there's just a huge difference to me between 6-2 and 5-3. 6-2, you're top 20, or in LSU's case, top 10.
Yeah. I didn't watch a single snap of that game. That was my game. I can't really talk about it.
It was on the bar. I was not watching it.
Okay, I want to talk about this game because I did watch a little bit of this game. Tennessee, Kentucky. I'm going to be honest with you. Tennessee looked like the best team in the country.
I'm not talking about it. I picked Kentucky to win.
You did pick Kentucky to
That was
win.
my hot take. I'm glad Tennessee won because I bought a ticket to Georgia, Tennessee this week. So I'm kind of glad that it's undefeated.
Yeah.
But Kentucky was horrible. Horrible. Will Levis didn't even throw for 100 yards. 3 picks. I mean, Tennessee's offense was good, but they didn't even have to be that good.
Kentucky had 11 more minutes time of possession.
Yeah.
And lost by 40 almost.
You know, I think it was 7-6 or 13-6. And Kentucky's inside the 10, and Will Levis throws a pick 6. And the game's just over at that point.
Yep. That was...
I mean, that's a 14-point swing.
He didn't throw a pick 6, but I do remember that. I remember that happening. Like, he threw a pick. And
maybe it wasn't a pick 6, but it was a long return.
Okay. And then I feel bad because I keep on saying I didn't watch a snap of this game, but I want to talk about it. Is Southern California and Arizona. Southern California wins by a touchdown.
Against a horrible Arizona team.
Yeah. Now, they were up. Oh, never mind. Now I feel bad for talking about this. Arizona scored a garbage time touchdown to be down by a touchdown.
Still, though, I mean,
They scored with a minute 20 left to make it 45-37. They had to get a 2-point conversion to make it that.
USC just doesn't blow people out. I feel like they win every game by 1 to 2 touchdowns.
They really do, though.
And maybe that'll catch up to them when they play UCLA. But other than UCLA, I don't know if a team on their schedule is going to beat them. They already played Oregon State. They already played Utah. They don't play Oregon.
They have Cal, who has been below average. Colorado, who sucks. And they get UCLA. And they get Notre Dame the last week of the season. I think could be a game.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see where both of those teams are.
Then we want to talk about another 23-point spread in a rivalry game, which Jacob picked the team that they picked Michigan. I'm just going to say it. He picked Michigan to cover the 23 points. And Michigan won by 22, and I picked Michigan State to cover the spread, so I won that one. Michigan beats Michigan State 29-7. Michigan State was in it a little bit in the first quarter. And then
stretch.
Yeah, and then after that, it was over.
29-7. I mean, it wasn't a game.
J.J. McCarthy didn't look too bad. Blake Corum had 33 carries for 177 yards. And what is this dude's name right here? Coleman? Keon Coleman for Michigan State is a wide receiver who also plays basketball.
Huh.
Interesting to figure that out.
Did he get suspended from the team? Because I know half their team's going to.
I don't know, but he had 5 catches for 155 yards and a touchdown.
Not bad.
And it was just like every time they threw in the ball. I mean, I know it was only 5 receptions, but it was like he was making the most acrobatic catches I've ever seen in my life.
I believe it. Basketball players.
And then last but not least, I want to talk about Ole Miss A&M. Ole Miss wins by 3 at Texas A&M, in which they are favored by 3. So
they were favored by 2, I thought.
Well, okay. See, this is a weird thing. We record our episodes on Tuesdays, so the spreads change usually. So they were favored by 2. That's what I thought. But on game day, they were favored by 3.
I think that's a cover then.
But I'm pretty sure it was 2 when we recorded, and I think I took them to cover.
I did too. I didn't.
I think we
say
both
A&M.
took them to cover.
Note though, A&M did make the switch to Connor Wegman at quarterback, the true freshman.
Yep, 28 for 44 to 338, 4 touchdowns.
Not a bad game.
Jackson Dart didn't do anything crazy. Judkins had 34 carries for 205 yards and a touchdown. I think I've figured it out at this point. If nobody else has, if you stop Ole Miss's run game, you're gonna beat them.
Yep.
But it's really hard to do that.
Is A&M gonna make a bowl game? We gotta start asking that question. Is Texas A&M gonna make a bowl game?
We're gonna talk about that actually.
Okay.
So, game we're gonna talk about this week starting on Thursday. Got App State and Coastal.
Believe this is the first game since we've started making this podcast that actually has some implications.
For App, yeah. App is at Coastal and is a 3-point favorite. The big implications here is if App wins out and JMU loses one game, App will go to the Sun Belt Championship. But
which they'll probably win.
They have to win. Yeah, they'll definitely win. The West Side sucks this year. Well, I don't know.
Troy's in the East, or did they move?
They're in the West.
Okay.
Troy played with us, and I think they're leading the West right now.
Okay.
But yeah, I think the winner of the East side of the Sun Belt this year will win the Sun Belt Championship. But I have a nervous feeling because Coastal's a good team. I'm gonna be honest. This is the first good team I think we've played since James Madison. Citadel and Robert Morris. Those don't even count.
And we lost to Texas State.
And we lost to Texas State, and we beat the crap out of Georgia State, who wasn't that good, even though I was kind of boosting them a little bit. I'll take App. Plus.
I'll take App just because we've owned Coastal in the past.
We have.
The only thing that worries me is the fact, there's 3 factors. On the road, weeknight, quarterback Grayson McCall for Coastal.
Yeah, for me. It's the same thing. Being on the road and a team that's starting to build a little bit of a football environment at a smaller school like we have here. I think the game will be packed. I think they'll be loud. And Grayson McCall is a great player. And our defense, our secondary, has been the weakness of our defense, and so that worries me a little bit. But I think if we get the ground game going and Chase Price plays good, I think we win, definitely. I think if our offense is rolling, we definitely win.
I agree with that. 100%.
And then the other weeknight game I want to talk about is Friday night, Oregon State plays Washington. Both are 6-2. Oregon State ranked, Washington's not. Oregon State has been a good team this year. Washington hasn't been a bad team either.
Where's the game?
It is at Washington. Washington is a 3.5-point favorite.
Give me Washington.
Okay.
I'll take the upset. Well, not really the upset, but
I kind of want to go Washington also, but it is weird. I feel like Oregon State's gonna be one of those teams that gets jolted in the back end of the top 25 and then loses.
That's how I'm
like's happened every week this year.
Yeah.
But I think Oregon State's good. I'll take Oregon State plus 3.5. Yeah, I'll take Oregon State plus 3.5. I like that. And then we will talk about the random but can mean something games this week.
Tennessee, Georgia.
Starting on Saturday, we have Texas Tech and TCU. TCU, again, I feel like now is out for blood after being snubbed of being in the top 6 by the College Football Playoff Committee. Playing on paper, mediocre Texas Tech team, but a Texas Tech team that has been in games with good teams this year. They are at home, though, and they are 9.5 point. What does that say? 9.5 point favorites. Right. Yeah. I think Texas Tech will play TCU close a little bit for a little while, but I think TCU does end up covering that 9.5.
What is Quentin Johnson's status? Because
he got hurt.
He was limping a little bit in the first half when I was somewhat watching it, but I don't know if it was a sustained injury.
There is no news
Okay.
on Quentin Johnston.
I like Texas Tech to win and cover then. I like Texas Tech not Texas Tech. I like TCU to win and cover.
I was like,
Sorry.
dang, you're over here bashing the committee for not
no.
putting them in the top 7. You think they're going to get beat by Texas Tech?
Yeah, give me TCU to win and cover. I like TCU something like 44 to 31, something like that.
Texas Tech was in a game with Oklahoma State. They were in a game with Kansas State.
They beat Texas.
They beat Texas. They were in a game with a good NC State.
Yeah.
Before NC State lost Devin Leary. And at the time, a ranked Houston they beat. Which, that's questionable. They did get thrashed by Baylor last week, so I'm not going to lie. Yeah, I'll definitely take TCU and cover. Yeah, I'll take TCU and cover. Next, we were just talking about Texas A&M. And this is the only reason why I put them on here. Texas Tech at 3-5 is playing a 4-4 Florida. And now here's the thing. Here's the reason why I put this on here. These two teams are usually prominent college football teams every year.
Yeah.
They are always in a bowl game every year. Right now, if Texas A&M loses this game, they're probably not making a bowl game.
No, they're not. They're not making a bowl game if they lose this one.
If Florida loses this game, they might not make a bowl game. If Texas A&M wins this game, they might not make a bowl game. They're at A&M 3.5.
Give me Florida. I think A&M is just dead. That more and more guys are leaving the team. I don't think they're playing with any confidence. Anthony Richardson had a pretty good game against Georgia, didn't turn the ball over. I think that Florida will be able to get their running game going against A&M, and I think Florida goes to College Station gets it done.
Could make a bowl game if they win because they got to play. They got a free win. They play UMass. So.
Okay, I was about to say because they had a free win against that. So they'll beat UMass.
Okay, there's a difference between App and UMass. Right. We would beat UMass by 30.
That's true. So that's 4.
They got Auburn next week at Auburn, and then last week they get LSU at home.
They have to beat Florida then. Yeah. They have to beat Florida. They're not going to beat LSU.
Florida plays Vanderbilt, so they're probably making a bowl game.
Florida will probably make a. I think Florida's better than Texas A&M.
I think they are too. I'll also take Florida, which would outright them covering the spread, considering they're not favorites. And then we're gonna go to Baylor, Oklahoma. Both 5-3. Winner obviously would get bowl eligibility. They're probably both gonna get bowl eligibility anyways. Actually, I don't know. Baylor's last 3 games: Kansas State, TCU, and Texas.
Ooh. Where's this game? This game's in Oklahoma.
This game is at Oklahoma, and they are favored by 3.5. Oklahoma, after this, gets West Virginia, Oklahoma State, Texas Tech. So, both could use this win because it would be a bowl eligibility win. Baylor especially could use this win, though, because I'd say their schedule is a lot harder than Oklahoma's from here on out. And both teams that are kind of looking to get back on track, I mean, you could see Oklahoma win this game, be sitting at 6-3, then has to play West Virginia, who they're probably gonna beat, gonna be honest, and be at 7-3, and finish the year. They probably lose to Oklahoma State. Still would be a good game, I think, but I'd say they lose to Oklahoma State, beat Texas Tech. I mean, they win this game, you're looking at
potential 9-3, 8-4.
8-4, yeah. I mean, that's a top 25 team probably at the end of the year.
I think I like Oklahoma to win at home.
3.5.
They've been playing better since Dylan Gabriel got back from injury.
They have. But I'm going to go Baylor. Because we went separate. We went separate in Oregon State, Washington. But
yeah,
I'm still gonna go Baylor. You want OU plus cover?
3.5.
Yeah.
Yeah, give me the cover. Oklahoma by a touchdown.
And you're covering Washington 3.5.
Washington 3.5 over Oregon State. Yes.
Then is another Big 12 game. Again. Actually, that's not true. I'm gonna say again, winner gets bowl eligibility. That's not true though. Is Oklahoma State Kansas? Oklahoma State 6-2, Kansas 5-3. Oklahoma State has to bounce back. This is the type of game where you lose your season almost.
Yep.
I mean, you just got beat 48-0, and you were ranked 9th in the nation.
Mm-hmm.
You were a top 10 team, and you got beat 48-0. And again, we've said this since we started this podcast. Kansas just needs a win.
One win.
One win to be bowl eligible. And it doesn't get much easier. They play Texas Tech, Texas, and Kansas State from here on out.
I'll go ahead and tell you, Kansas needs one win for bowl eligibility. They will not get that one win this week against Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State wins. I don't care what the spread is. Oklahoma State covers.
It's two. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm going the same way. I think
I could see Oklahoma State winning by 20 plus.
Yeah, I think that Oklahoma State just annihilates them.
So
Okay.
too.
Like we said, Kansas's offense has been piss poor since they've lost Daniels, and unfortunately for them, they are going to be subject to a very upset team.
Yep.
Next is West Virginia, Iowa State. They're both 3-5. Again, two teams that you usually see in a bowl game almost every year. And they have both been trashed this year. The game is at Iowa State. Iowa State is favored by a touchdown. West Virginia played TCU close last week. And, I mean, Iowa State has lost 5 games in a row.
I like West Virginia this week to win and cover.
Really?
That's an upset, but
Really?
I think they'll be able to score.
I'm going to take Iowa State. I don't think they lose 6 games in a row. I think there's no way they lose 6 games in a row. I think they cover, too. Well, actually, I think they win by a touchdown. So,
Okay.
I don't know if that's cover or not, but I think they win by a touchdown. Those 5 games that Iowa State has lost in a row, we've probably said this like 8 times in the past couple weeks. Touchdown to Baylor, field goal to Kansas, 1 point to Kansas State, field goal to Texas, and by 2 touchdowns to Oklahoma. So 4 of their 5 losses have been within a score.
You got to think the morale is just so
It
low.
probably is. I'm not gonna lie, it probably is. Here's something I want to look at real quick. West Virginia is giving up 284 passing yards a game.
Can Iowa State capitalize on that?
I think they can with Xavier Hutchinson.
Okay.
Last 2 random but can mean some games. We'll talk about this one very briefly because it doesn't really matter, but I wanted to put it on here. Liberty in Arkansas.
I know Arkansas's favored.
By 13.5.
Ooh, 13.5?
At Arkansas.
Give me Arkansas to win. Give me Liberty to cover.
Okay. Liberty is 7-1. Liberty has beat the crap out of BYU.
Yeah, and Arkansas only beat BYU by like 17.
Beat the crap out of a decent ODU team.
Yep.
Lost to Wake Forest by 1 point. Now, I'm not going to talk about their other wins because they're not that good.
Yeah.
But they were in a game with a top 25 team. That's their one loss.
Yep.
And they beat the crap out of a decent BYU team and a decent Old Dominion team. However, they only beat Gardner-Webb by 1 point.
Is Gardner-Webb good?
I don't know. I think they kind of are. Arkansas just has a lot of offense, but so does Liberty. However, I am going to take the same thing as you. Arkansas wins, Liberty covers.
It's just too big of a spread. Arkansas by 10.
Yeah. And last but not least, random but can mean some games. We've got. This actually means more now than it did when I wrote this down earlier because they're both ranked. Is Texas and Kansas State. They are at Kansas State. Texas is favored by 2.5. I'm taking Kansas State. I'll go ahead and say it now. I'm going to take Kansas State. I think they roll after the big win last. Oh, actually, this might be a trap game.
I think they let down. Give me Texas to win. Give me Texas to cover. Upset alert. The Big 12 is about to get crazy. Kansas State can afford one more loss, though, and still make it to the Big 12 championship, though. Right? Because they only have one Big 12 loss. Their other loss was to Tulane.
Kansas State. It might lose that game. I won't put that on the record. Kansas State might lose that game, but I took them to win. I want to put that on record.
Kansas State might win this game, and I took them to lose. It's 50-50.
Big games. You want me to save it for last?
Save it for, I mean, of course. It's not 1 versus 2 anymore because of the committee.
Because of time frame, it is number 1 on the list. But I can go to the 7 o'clock game. We got 3 7 o'clock games.
Save it for last.
Okay, 7 o'clock games. For some reason, we're going to be watching 6 versus 10 instead of 7 versus 15 in Alabama and LSU.
I've never seen more of a reach for ratings than this game right here.
13.5 point favorites by Alabama. They're in Death Valley, though. And because of that, give me LSU, baby.
To win.
Give me LSU to beat Alabama. Give me LSU.
Here's my take. Alabama on the road has not been beating anybody by 13 points.
No.
I don't think they cover 13 points.
However,
they're coming off a bye. I know LSU is too. But you're getting Nick Saban off a bye week. Give me Alabama by 6.
Okay.
Close game.
Give me the Tigers.
I want LSU to win. I want them to prove me wrong, but
the only bad thing is LSU will be 6 next week if they win.
Well, yeah, if they beat Bama, they will either be it'll either be them at 6 or they'll still have Bama over them for some reason.
Yeah, and 8, 9 or something like that.
I mean, they might put Bama in the top 4 after a loss.
Okay. Next is the game that I don't want to talk about, but you can. Clemson at Notre Dame.
You don't want to talk about it?
At Notre Dame, Clemson's 4-point favorite. I do not want to talk about it because Notre Dame is top 5 on my hatred, and I'm going to say bad things, and then they're going to beat us, and then I'm going to look stupid.
Well, I mean, I think Notre Dame is on everybody's top 5-ish hated. But the legend of DJ started at Notre Dame. Even though they lost that game, Clemson's a better team than Notre Dame. Notre Dame did pick up a big win last week. And sure, this game might be close. It's only a 4-point spread. I like Clemson. I like Clemson by 7 to 10 points.
Okay. Next game.
No, you're going to say something.
Next game.
You're going to say something.
Is Wake Forest and NC State.
Okay.
Which stayed a ranked matchup. I didn't know if it would, but it did. Somehow.
I'll go ahead and say this. Wake Forest offense isn't going to stall like it did last week.
Well, I'm going to say it like this. I'm taking Wake Forest. They're minus 4.5. It's at NC State. I'm taking Wake Forest. I'm taking them to cover. Well,
I'm taking Wake Forest to more than cover.
Yeah, I don't think NC State's offense could even remotely keep up with Wake Forest right now.
They say upset alert before potential upsets. I'm giving this a blowout alert.
Yeah, blowout alert in Raleigh this week.
See, one day we're going to say blowout alert, and it's just going to completely bite us.
You know what game I really wanted to... This is so random. But you know what game I really wanted to put on random but could mean something?
What?
James Madison in Louisville.
It just... The only thing is it doesn't mean anything. Because James Madison could lose by 100, and it just wouldn't matter, really.
Okay. Oh, whoever wins that game is bowl eligible, though. Both have 5 wins.
Is this it?
This is it. Tennessee, Georgia.
You got it first.
1 versus 3.
1 versus 3. And it's not the order that it should be in.
In Athens. Minus 8.5. And a lot of people are going to hate me for this one. Give me the Volunteers, baby. Sorry to the Bulldogs. That's like my second favorite team, low-key, but I'm taking Tennessee. Just because I want to take Tennessee, and I know he's going to take Georgia.
Well, yeah, I mean, do you want me to, like, go over matchups or anything? I mean...
I want you to say what you said earlier to me about this game.
Which part? Well, okay, I'll
that
say
y'all are
this.
going to win by at least 2 touchdowns.
I believe that if Georgia does not turn the ball over, that Georgia will win this game by 2 touchdowns. I think that if Georgia is playing their best ball, then nobody in the country can compete with them. I think that Georgia's offense is elite. I think Georgia's defense is elite. Georgia's defense will show up in this game. It's just a matter of, will the offense give Tennessee's offense extra chances? I think Georgia shows up to play. I don't think we turn the ball over. I think Georgia's home crowd really, really controls the game. In order for Tennessee to win, like when Tennessee upset Alabama, you had the penalties, you had the turnovers, you had the special teams errors, you had the home crowd. This game, Georgia has the home crowd. Georgia does not get penalized like Alabama does. And Georgia will not make those special teams errors, hopefully. I just think the matchup's there for Georgia. Now, granted, if Georgia does turn the ball over like they've been turning the ball over, Tennessee can win. I'll say that. But I think if both teams are playing their best, which I expect, that Georgia wins and Georgia covers the 8.5.
Okay.
And I will be a part of it.
Biggest spread of the week last week was Boise State at home against Colorado State, minus 27. They won by 39.
3-0. The biggest spread of the week is 3-0.
We both called that one. Let me look real quick. UConn. I'm sorry, I'm saying it out loud. Okay, I think Ohio State won this one. They are minus 38. I'm gonna keep going to make sure. I'm taking
Ohio State and Northwestern minus 38.
Yes.
Northwestern hadn't won a game in America this year.
Well, Oregon is minus 31 and a half, so it was close.
Kinda.
Well, for those two to be that high, it was close. Michigan 26 and a half.
Who did they play?
Rutgers.
Makes sense.
And San Jose State is favored by 24 for the 3rd week in a row. They're playing Colorado State.
They're always like quietly
Okay,
good.
so it is Northwestern versus Ohio State, minus 38. It is at Northwestern.
Give me Ohio State to cover. Ohio State's getting to at least the 40s.
38 is a lot. I think Ohio State.
I mean, what's the best offensive output for Northwestern possible? 17?
Yeah.
I don't even think. I think 55-7 is in order there. I mean, that game could get bad. Bad.
Okay, Super Dogs. We got a lot more options this week when I was just scrolling through there.
I'll look at this.
Last week, yeah. Well, you go ahead and start looking.
My phone is blowing up.
Really?
About the rankings.
Yeah, mine was too. I just kept on clearing them Super Dogs last week. Speaking of Northwestern, Jacob took Northwestern plus 10, I think it was, plus 11 against Iowa, and they got beat by 20. So that didn't cover. I took UNC Charlotte to cover 16.5 versus Rice, and they won by 20 points. So I was correct. Jacob was wrong. We got a lot more options this week, Jacob.
See, we both could be cheap and take Florida at A&M, but I'm not going to do that.
Oh, no.
I found mine, unless you take it.
No, you go ahead.
Minnesota's a 16-point favorite at Nebraska. Nebraska's going to cover 16. Give me that. Give me Nebraska plus 16.
I saw one that I was thinking, dude, UNC Charlotte's minus 16.5 or plus 16.5 again. I'm not taking them 2 weeks in a row, though. There's no way. They're playing Western Kentucky. Western Kentucky actually beat the crap out of them.
I like mine. Why don't you take Tennessee?
No. I want to pick something bigger than 8. I like the big number ones.
See, that's what I just took.
Like the really big number ones.
You got Indiana at home plus 14.
I think I like the one right below that though. Right now, that's my top option. Oh, this is so random that I want to take it.
I think I know which one you're looking at.
I like taking the random ones. You know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm taking the Lobos of New Mexico.
God.
Plus 16.5 against Utah State.
Gross.
Who was yours again?
I said Nebraska plus 16 against Minnesota.
And then I said UNM plus 16.5 at Utah State. I'm going to look at that on Saturday, and it's going to be like 31-0 Utah State or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm going to be like, dang it. And then last but not least, hot takes of the week. Again, an X on your side. You had Tennessee losing. They won.
Give me 2 X's.
They won 44-6. Oh, first podcast over an hour. And I was correct again. So I'm having a up and down. So that means I'm gonna be terrible this week.
I've been down, up, down. You've been up, down, up.
Yeah. I had Drake May throwing for 350 and 3 touchdowns. He threw for 388 and 5 touchdowns. So he surpassed that. And you had Tennessee losing. Hot take of the week.
Ooh. I'm trying to think of one that'll just really bite me if I'm wrong. Stetson Bennett goes 303 touchdowns against Tennessee.
Okay.
He's averaging 290 something. The 3 touchdowns would be what's bold.
Oh, Rutgers plus 26.5 against Michigan.
They're not covering that. Well, maybe. 303 touchdowns against Tennessee this week for Stetson Bennett.
Should I just be boring and say the LSU Alabama one or no?
I mean, that's what I did last week.
Yeah.
You're either going to look like a real genius or a real idiot this week.
Oh, I know I am. That game's either going to... LSU's going to win or they're going to get beat by 20. There's no in between.
Hey, I picked Bama by 6.
Okay, I've got
it. Chase Bryce.
Cam Peoples has 200 yards against Coastal.
Total or rushing?
Total.
Okay.
Cam Peoples 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. 2+ touchdowns. 200 yards, 2+ touchdowns against Coastal. He loves that teal field.
Yeah, he does love that teal field, doesn't he?
So, you said what?
Stetson
This
300 yards and 3 total touchdowns.
300.
Because he does like to run.
Okay, that's cool. This is the biggest week we've had since we started this podcast, for sure. The college football playoff rankings coming out. And it's just, it's not much so as a lot of big games as we had the first week we did this, but it's the impact of the big games that are this week.
It's getting to the point where every game's becoming a playoff game.
We appreciate the support. I'm glad to be back in person recording, and it was fun to be able to watch the live rankings pop up on the TV in the background and
crazy cool.
Talk. Borderline live reaction.
I mean, yeah.
Our live reaction for y'all, not really.
Y'all probably already seen the rankings by the time you're watching this.
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, we appreciate the support. This is episode 3. And we hope to see you in episode 3. And we hope to see you next week in episode 4.
All right. Thank y'all
See
for
you next
watching.
time. Peace.